Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. What we'll do is today, I'll first look at the data import. Paseka struggled a little bit with it, so I just want to look at that very quickly. Then I want to do a recap of everything we did last time. I'll use Irisha's data set, and then I can stop with a regression. I want to show you a regression. I didn't show you that thoroughly last time. And then you can have questions in between. You can just type in the chat box. Okay, if that's all fine with you.
Yep, fine with
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. This thing is jumping around here. I just want to... Paseka, can you hear? Your microphone is going on and off, Paseka. Let me just check that. Okay, I'm just unmuting you. Okay, Paseka, you can... Okay, what I want to do is I just want to show you all the data set first.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna mute myself when you talk. And then
Okay.
unmute if you.
Yeah, it's fine. You can leave that open. I don't think it will be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. Can you all see, Paseka, can you see this Excel screen?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. If you look at this Excel screen, this was an output from probably SurveyMonkey or Lime Server. I don't know from where, but some online package. You got it from there, Paseka?
Yes, it was SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you need to do is when you want to import into SPSS, the first line here that you see here must be your headings. Then the second line, your data must start. So the first thing here that you would do is you take out line 2, just delete it. Okay.
Okay.
But before you do that, you just make sure you have headings for everything. Say for instance, if you look at this other here, you just copy it to the top to have a heading there. Okay. So just make sure you have your headings. What I also do sometimes is just put in Q1, Q2 in here. It makes it easier when you do your analysis. Okay. Then something else that I see that could be problematic. Let me just check here. If you look at this, what type of vehicles do you own? There's different vehicles here. It could be a hatchback, sports car, convertible, or some lucky people have more than one. You agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you do here is you copy this hatchback to the top there. You copy sports car to the top, convertible there. So it becomes different questions. Because in that question, they will indicate they have a hatchback or not, the sports car or not. So you need to copy that to the top. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
And you do that with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you export it from the online package, it gives you this labeling here. When you export it, you must ask it, export numeric values, not this text here, because the text will not work in SPSS. SPSS need the numeric values. So what you'll do is you export it to numeric values, and then in SPSS, you provide these value labels that we did last time. Say, for instance, influence or extreme influence, that kind of thing. Is that fine?
Okay.
So you must just export it to get, you see in this case, there's numbers, but for the other ones here, not. So you must just ask the package to export it as numbers. If you designed it incorrectly, what you must do is you must recode this to numbers. You can do a search in place or something like that. But if you import it in SPSS, it will not work because it will pick it up as text. It will work with some things, but not a lot of the analysis will not work.
Okay. So I would have to do that one manually.
You cannot ask it to export the numeric. How did you export it?
Just extract it from the Monkey Survey directly, so it will give me the
but
information.
in SurveyMonkey, when you export and you ask it to say export in Excel format, there's an option that allows you to say provide me numeric responses, not the labels. Okay. So just try that.
I'm trying to check while we're still talking now.
Okay. Is there anybody else that had problems? You can just type in the chat box. Is there anybody else that had problems with reading in the data? Is there anybody else? Okay, so that's what you must do. Just to recap, the first line must be your headings. Make sure you have headings for all of that. Second line, you must take it out. And then from the second line, your data must start. It must be in numeric format.
So everything needs to be in numeric form.
Yeah. And then you provide labels afterwards. But this, say if there's like qualitative responses, you can just leave it like it is. But you will not analyze it anyway. Okay, is it fine?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, can we move on?
Yes. Maybe Henny,
Okay.
I'll try to export it and see if I have a problem, then I get a hold of you directly.
You can try to export it and
if I have challenges, I'll get back to you separately.
Okay.
Outside the session. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I just typed hi in the chat box to see if anybody did left me a message. Okay, now what we'll do is we will just recap on last time. Okay. Let me just go to SPSS. Okay, can you see SPSS? I'll just talk to you all the time, Paseko. Can you see SPSS?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I will not recap on all the everything, but just quickly. Okay, I want to open the data set. It was already created by Risha, so I'll go to open data. And then I browse to the data set in SPSS. You'll see there files of type SPSS. It's already in SPSS format. Sorry, can you see the screen? Let me just share it again. I know this. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I just click on it and open it. Okay, let me just share the screen again. I don't know, SPSS is throwing away, or Zoom is throwing away the SPSS. Okay, can you all see this, the data, the variable view? Paseko, is that, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now there's the variable names. And then there's the labels that will be displayed for the variables. And then, so you can just type it in here. Like you remembered last time, I see this AH1 is not labeled there. Then the value labels, say if you look at gender, if you click on that, 1 was for the females, 2 was for the males. You find that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the measurement type, in this case, it's nominal. You click on it, it's nominal for gender. There's no order in it. Racial groups, nominal. Education, you can keep it at nominal, maybe ordinal if you say there's an order in it. Work experience, you can just check here. Work experience must be ordinal. There's categories, but it's order, it's not a scale. So we make that a scale, ordinal, not scale. Okay?
Okay.
You fine with that?
Yeah.
Then egoistic one was one of the Likert scale questions on egoistic. Let me just open the questionnaire. I don't see the questionnaire here. Okay, but egoistic was one of the Likert scale questions. So it's a 5-point Likert scale. So this must be ordinal. And you can put in the Likert scale options here also to label it if you want to have frequencies on that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so that's setting up your variables. So your variable name, that's the label that shows in the output, the value labels, if you use the value labels, and then your measurement type. When you look at this, okay, we will come to that. Okay, egoistic, when we look at that, what we want to do is now, we want to look at the first construct. Let me just go to, sorry, let me just try to get the questionnaire here. Sorry, I just want to get to the questionnaire and it will make more sense for you. You just open that. Okay. Okay, let me just share it with you.
Now we can see it.
Can you see the questionnaire?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Irisha, you must maybe help me here. You cannot talk. Maybe you can just type in the chat box. I just want to see which question here is egoistic. Just see. Is egoism? Can you type quickly, Irisha? Because you cannot talk. I cannot hear you. Okay, because we want to look at egoistic first. Which questions is that? In the questionnaire, you get egoistic. Let me just go back to the data set. Can you see? Okay, Paseka, can you see the data set again?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let me just go back to the data set. The questionnaire, sorry. Okay, it's in order. So if you look at 7.1, that would be egoistic one. 7.2 would be in the data set. Let me just share the data set again. Principled one. Okay. Okay, you're all fine with that. So it starts from egoistic 1 up till benevolent 4. And when you look at the questionnaire, it's Likert scale questions. Let me just go back to the questionnaire. Can you see the questionnaire, Paseka?
Yep.
Okay. So if you look at the questionnaire, it's this Likert scale questions here. From 7.1 up to 7.12. And it's from very low to very high. Okay. Fine with that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can just go back to the SPSS. Okay, can you see the SPSS data set again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what we want to do is, we know that this egoistic is a construct. Now, all of you had constructs. Remember last time we tested constructs, the reliability of it. So just to recap on that, I want to go to Analyze, Scale Reliability Analysis. Can you see that on the screen, Paseka? Okay.
Yep.
Then I choose the egoistic. Okay, this is supposed to be all ordinal, but it doesn't matter at this stage. Egoistic, egoistic, egoistic. The 4 questions that relates to the egoistic construct. I move it to the right. And then statistics, I choose scale, and I choose scale if item deleted. Let me just share that because you can you see that now? I choose scale and scale if item deleted. Okay, you see that?
Okay, yeah.
Click on continue. Okay, it drops it again. Let me just share it again. Okay. Sorry, let me just go to the output screen. Okay, can you see the output screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Chromach alpha is 0.67. It must be above 0.6 to give us a reliable construct. So this 4 questions here from the questionnaire is reliable in testing egoistic, the construct egoistic. Okay, you fine with that?
Yep.
Okay, then when we want to refine further, we look at this corrected item total correlation, which is this one here. That's the correlation of the specific question with the rest. And we want this correlations here to be positive and high. As long as it's about, say, above 0.2 or 0.1. If it's near 0, it means there's no correlation between this question and the rest. Then it's an unreliable question. In this case, you can see all of them is fine. But egoistic 4 is 0.28, the correlation. So if you take it out, the Chromach alpha will improve to 0.71 from 0.67. Okay? But in this case, we leave it in. There's still correlation there, and it's already reliable. Say, for instance, that was 0.57 and this was 0.61, we would have taken it out. And then we also explain why. We look at a specific question and see why did we take it out. You fine with that? Let me just show you what happens if I take it out. So let me just go there. I go to analyze, scale reliability analysis, and then I take out the egoistic 4. Let me just share that again. Okay, can you see the reliability screen? I take this out, so I only test this free. I click on OK. Then let me just share that again. Can you see the output?
Yeah.
Now you see it's 0.71. Okay. So, and then that's the remaining. So then if we would have gone that route, we'll use this 0.71 as the Chromach alpha and indicate we took out one item. Okay, you fine with that?
Yeah.
There's no questions on reliability. Okay, you must just type if you have a question. Okay, then the next step would be to calculate the score now for all of this. But you must test all the constructs in the questionnaire. So what happened here, let me just go to the data set. Can you see the data set on the screen?
Not as yet.
Okay, let me just share that with you. Okay, there's the data set.
Yeah,
okay.
I can see now.
So all these constructs, egoistic, principled, benevolent, and then there's another construct, OT, it was organizational trust. All of them will be tested for liability. Okay, same process. The next step would be to calculate the score now for each. A score to create a new variable, and this new variable will be what we will use in regression or correlation or any statistical analysis. Okay, you fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so to do a score, you go to transform. Okay, sorry, one point to not forget. If there's any negatively asked questions in the questionnaire, it must be reversed before you do the Chromach alpha. Otherwise, it will show as unreliable even if it's reliable. Just remember that.
Yeah.
And remember, we did the reverse last time. So you just go to transform, recode variable, and then you make the 5s a 1, a 4, a 2, and the 3 you leave. Okay. And then that reversed question you use in the calculation of the score. Just remember that. Okay, let me just go to the score now. We want to calculate the score for egoistic now. So you go to analyze, transform. You go to transform and then compute variable. We want to compute a new variable. We give it a name here. Remember, no spaces in here, no special characters. We will just call it egoistic construct score. So this egoistic construct score, it will be a score of the 4 different items. And we know it's reliable. That's why we can use it in this calculation. If one of the items not reliable, we take it out. That's the whole point of the reliability. Okay. So now on the right-hand side, we want to take a mean. We want to take the average of these questions now. So I go to function group. I click on all. Can you see this? Must I share? Let me just, sorry, you don't share this. Do you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
You see, okay. Because, okay, then I go to all and I just, I go to statistical. You can click on statistical and then the functions come in here and we choose mean. We move it up. So then that's the function that will be used, the mean, and in the brackets we put in the individual questions. So we put in egoistic there, comma, egoistic 1, comma, egoistic 2, comma, egoistic 3, comma, egoistic 4. And then just remember to take out this question mark and the last comma. So this is the function mean. Inside this brackets here, this 4 questions separated by commas, the average of this will be taken. So it will actually be the average of the responses of the persons filling this in. Okay. Click on OK there. Let me just share again. In the output screen, it shows compute this new score by doing that. You can see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now we want to go to the data set. Can you see the data set?
Yeah.
Okay, we go to the last variable here is this new one we created, and it is scale. So if I go to the data view and I go to the right-hand side here, egoistic construct score 4.5. Okay, you fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay, let us just interpret that score. What will that mean? Remember from the questionnaire, it's from 1 to 5, okay, in the questionnaire. So we interpret it. Let me just go back to the questionnaire. Just share that. Can you see the questionnaire here?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 would be very low, 5 would be very high. So a score of 4.5 for this person would mean this person feels it's the egoistic score is between high and very high, in between. Okay.
Okay.
Fine with that? For that specific person. Okay. Now say if we want to look at on average, we want to report and say on average, how does the people feel about this egoistic? On average, we go to, let me just share that again. Can you see the data screen?
Yeah.
So now we want to look at descriptive statistics. We go to analyze, we go to descriptive statistics, descriptives. Not frequencies. Frequencies is for your categorical variables, like male, female, that kind of thing, which is categories. Descriptives is for your scale variables or your continuous variables, like your construct scores. Okay. So I click on descriptives. Let me just share that again. Can you see the descriptives bar, the window? Paseka?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we want to look at the egoistic construct score. Here you can do all the construct scores at once. So let me just do the ones that was already calculated by Isha. Put it in. And then you move it to the right hand side by clicking on the arrow, and then we click on OK. Let me just share that again. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the descriptives. So Irisha's calculation was correct. Seems correct. You see the egoistic mean here is 3.2896, and that's the one I calculated also now. So it's 3.2896, so it's 3.3. So the people on average are a little bit above 3. So if you go back to the questionnaire, now I'm sharing the wrong one, sorry. Can you see the questionnaire?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yes.
The questionnaire.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, it's not on my screen. Let me just close this. Okay. So it's between 1 and 5. So 3 is 50-50. They're just above that on average, on egoistic. Okay. Some people go further and now do other analysis and see is there differences between males and females with the t-tests or things like that. Then you can see, but on this egoistic score, is the males and females statistically different from each other? Maybe the males feels it's lower or higher. You fine with that? Okay. Let me just go to the data set again. Okay, so that's the descriptive statistics of the constructs. Last time we did a table of the constructs to present the descriptive statistics. Maybe I must just show you that again because that's important if you want to report your descriptive statistics. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just go to the data set. Can you see the data set?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, for the table, I'll use this organizational trust, this OT measures here. Let me just quickly fix the labeling. Organizational trust was also from very high to very low to very high. So let me just fix that quickly. So 1 was very low. 2 was low. 3 was 50-50. And 4, I think, was high. And 5 was very high. That's just the labels for the Likert scale questions. Okay. Then what I can do is I can click on it here and I can copy and I can just paste it here. So that's the 4 organizational trust construct items or Likert scale items. Okay. You fine with that? Let me just go back to the questionnaire to remind you. Can you see the questionnaire?
Yeah.
So it's this questions here we're talking about. Organizational trust, and it's a 5-point scale, very low to very high. So I just provided labels. Okay. So for this, we just want to calculate a table to show the frequencies for the descriptive statistics. So let me just share the SPSS data set again. Okay, so I go to analyze. I go to tables, custom tables. So analyze, tables, custom tables. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Then it gives me a window. I just click on OK. Let me just share the window with you. Can you see the custom table window?
Yeah.
Okay. On the left-hand side, I choose all 4 of them by keeping down Shift or keeping down Control and picking them out one by one. Then when they are highlighted, I move them. Come on. Just keep in control. I move it to the rows here. The moment it becomes red, I drop it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only trick you need to do here is category position here. You change this default to row labels in columns. Then it gives you the nice table. In this case, it's just the frequencies. Let me just share the screen with you again. You can also bring in, say, the percentages here.
Okay.
Percentages, apply to selection. Can you see, can you see the screen here again? The table screen? You see it, Paseka?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just brought in the percentages here also. I was clicking on summary statistics and then it went to that window. I click on OK. So when you look at this now, you have your percentages and your frequencies in here. So in one table, so you can see in this, there's a lot of people in the 50-50 categories, 27 for OT1, even for all the different statements. Okay, so this is just when you want to report your descriptive statistics. You do a table for each of your constructs. Okay, and then to have a composite score for the construct, you have this means here you're looking at the overall mean. So on average, people are at 3.3, which is just above 50-50. That also makes sense if you look at the number of people that's in here, the percentages. Okay, fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so that's the descriptives. Now, the next thing is, say if you want to do, what you want to do now is you want to do a model. So let me go to the descriptives here, the data set, sorry. You just share data set. Can you see the data set?
Yep.
Okay, so in this case, what will happen is we want to see if the egoistic score, the benevolent score, and the principled score. This is all the construct scores. This one here, this egoistic is the same as this one I showed you. Okay? Want to see if this here is influencing organizational trust. Okay. So we just work with this 4 variables now going forward. And that's the variables we create that was created. Yeah. Okay. That egoistic. Oh, I don't know. You fine with that?
Yeah.
Let me just go to your objectives quickly. Let me just go there. Okay, I'm not sure if it's sharing now. Can you see the research results on the screen? Paseka, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, in this case, there's the objectives. Assess the ethical climates, egoistic, benevolence, and principle. Okay, how will we answer that question? We will have tables for egoistic, benevolence, and principle that I showed you just now to show the frequencies and percentages. And then we'll also have the, okay, sorry, no. In this case, let me just see how did you answer that. Did you use the mean? Okay, we don't have time to go into everything. I'll just talk quickly. Then we also use the average to show on average what is egoistic? Remember that was at 3.3. So everybody was in 3.3, so they were in between. Then you show the average for benevolence and the average for principle. Okay. Then this is actually investigating the level. Okay, no, sorry. Investigating the levels of organizational trust was this construct score of organizational trust. So you present the frequencies with that table I showed you, and then you present the average. Let me just go to the average quickly here. Let me just share SPSS. So we want to present the levels of trust. There's the organizational trust. So this was the average of, or the organizational trust score for the first person. We want to look at the average in the organization. So we go to analyze, descriptive statistics, descriptives, and where's the organizational trust? Here it is. I'm sorry, you cannot see that screen. Sorry,
Yeah,
I skipped that screen. Let me just go back. This Zoom is throwing away SPSS screens. Let me just do that again. Can you see the analyze on? Can you see analyze now? Okay, you go to analyze descriptive statistics, descriptives, and then it gives you the descriptives window. We go to organizational trust as a construct. We move it over. We want to see what's the average in organizational, the trust. We click on OK. Okay, let me just share again. Okay. Can you see the output?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go to, it's 2.82. So it's a little bit below 50-50. So the organizational trust is a bit low. Okay, that's the level of organizational trust. You fine with that? Okay, let me just go back to the objectives again. Okay, can you see the objectives? Paseka, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now investigate the relationship between ethical climate and organizational trust. Ethical climate is that free constructs. Now this will hold for all of you. If you want to look at the ethical climate, which consists of that free constructs, you must take the average of the free constructs again and make a new variable, call it ethical climate. You fine with that?
Yeah.
So if you have constructs that form something else, say this construct is egoistic, principled, it forms ethical climate. So this free constructs, which is the free variables, you can take another average of that to create ethical climate. Let me just show that to you quickly. Let me just share SPSS. Can you see the output screen?
Yep.
Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go to transform, compute variable, and then I just call it ethical, I just call it score to be quick. And then I want to take the mean of this already calculated constructs, which is egoistic and benevolent and principled. Now, something that you must also do is you check the Cronbach alpha of this free to see if it forms a construct. Okay, so this free must form a construct, must be reliable. So you just, okay, I'll show the reliability to you also that you don't get confused. Okay, but this would be the mean of this construct, and this will be coming then the ethical score. and you click on OK. And you can see the ethical score is calculated. Okay, you fine with that? Before you roll it up, the sub-constructs into a bigger one, you just must test the reliability. Let me just do that quickly to show you. You go to Analyze, Scale, Reliability Analysis, and now instead of putting in individual questions, we are putting in the scores, the construct scores that you calculated. You move it over, okay? And you click on OK. And then you see the column of alpha 0.78, no problem. We could have done that, so it's fine. Okay, that's to roll it up. Okay, you fine with that? Sika?
Yeah.
Okay, so now in the data set, let me just go to the data set. There's the ethical score now that we can work with. Okay, so all of you that has constructs, you'll have constructs that could roll up to something bigger, a bigger construct or a main construct. So that's how you handle that. Okay, let me just go back to the objectives. So for instance, if you say here in your objective, investigate the relationship between ethical climate and organizational trust, you have two variables to work with now. Okay. So you can do a correlation. Okay, let me do that first. Okay, let me share. Let me just share the SPSS. Can you see the SPSS window?
Yep.
Okay, so now you do a correlation, straightforward, analyze. You go to correlate, you go to bivariate, and you choose ethical score, and you choose organizational trust. Let me just share that screen with you. You choose ethical score and organizational trust. See that? You can choose Spearman here if your data was not normally distributed. Okay, Spearman and Pearson. Pearson is if your data is normally distributed. You click on OK. Let me just share
Sorry,
that
Henny,
again. Yes.
Can we just ask the question now?
Yes,
about
yes, you can.
Oh, you got it.
Yes, you can.
Saying
yes. You can talk.
Or are you answering Tembi?
No, you can talk.
No, I'm saying Tembi sent a chat about the. She just asked a question about.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't see the chat. Let me just open the chat quickly. Sorry. Thanks.
It's asking computing variable is creating construct.
It's not in my chat box. Okay, just come again. Just ask again because I don't see it in my chat. I don't know why. Yes.
I just sent you now.
Yes.
I just wanted to know if you compute a variable, are you creating construct at the way of creating construct?
Sorry, you must just talk a bit louder.
Computing, yes? When you say you compute variables,
yes,
you are creating constructs.
Yes.
Or is the way to create construct?
Yes. What about that?
No, I just wanted to know because I see you compute variables and then they show on the other side. So that's what I wanted to know. That is it how you create construct?
Yes.
Thank you.
So when we got there, let me just go there. When you got to transform compute variable, in this case, this was subconstruct that was rolled up into a main construct. But when you do the subconstruct, there's the questions in the questionnaire. So you call it, say, test or egoistic score. That's the construct name.
Can you see?
Can you see? Oh, okay. Let me just share again. This is throwing it out all the time. Okay. There's the egoistic score. You see that? You give it the name of the construct, and then on this side, you go to statistical, mean, and you move it up. And then you choose the questions that forms part of the construct, the Likert scale questions. So you put your Likert scale questions in. Is that fine?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. We go on?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to move on with something else. Okay. You're fine with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me just share the screen again. Okay. I will just mute you again. Okay. Okay. Can you all see this? Paseka, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes. So we did the correlation. Now, if you want to look at the relationship between, okay, we want to have the prediction variables or the independent variables. Now there's three variables that forms the construct ethical climate, which is egoistic, benevolent, and principled. Now we want to see which of these three is influencing organizational trust. Which of the three? Or all of them. So for that we do a regression. Okay. Let me show you the regression. So we want to see the influence of egoistic, benevolence, and principled on organizational trust. Okay. I must just mute. Somebody is talking. Okay. Okay. Let me go to SPSS, share the screen with you. Can you see the SPSS screen? Paseka, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Okay, so I go to analyze, I go to regression, I go to linear. So analyze, regression, linear. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just share the screen again. Okay, the dependent variable would be organizational trust. So organizational trust is dependent on this three predictor variables. So we put organizational trust in there. And then egoistic, mean, benevolent, and principled is the independent variables. So we look at them separately now, not as ethical climate. Okay? So this three will influence the dependent variable. Okay? When you look at method here, you leave it at enter. Okay, leave it at enter. Okay, you're fine with that. Then you go to statistics. Yeah. Let me just share that with you. Can you see the statistics?
Yeah.
Here you choose R-squared chains, descriptives, collinearity diagnostics, and Durbin-Watson. I can send you a document on what to tick. You just want to just see the main picture now, okay? So for statistics, you tick any of the options in regression. You leave the default as is, and then you choose, if you know what's going on, then you choose other options. Otherwise, leave the defaults, okay? But in this case, we want to have descriptives, R-squared chains, and collinearity diagnostics, and Durbin-Watson. Continue. Let me just go to the screen again. Let me just share that again. Sorry. It's throwing away the screen all the time. I think SPSS and Zoom doesn't like each other. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, now plots. We click on plots. This is important plot. Let me just share that. Can you see the plots?
Yeah.
Okay, in the plots, in the Y, you want to do a residual plot to check your assumptions and check your model. So there you say Z predict and you put it in X, and Z residual, you put it in Y. Just Okay. Then standardized residual plots, you tick histogram and normal probability plot. So this is quite important to check your assumptions. You fine with this? You click on continue. Let me just share again. Let me just share, go back to the screen. It's not giving me that. Can you see the linear regression screen again? Can you see that, Pasika? You see
Yes,
this?
I can.
Okay. So now we looked at statistics, plots. In the save option, there's a few things that you can do here. Let me just show you on save and share that again. Okay, if you look at this here you can choose a lot of things, but this is quite advanced, so I won't go into this, but this is to check in, check your influential values, check outliers, that kind of thing. Check your residuals, but your residuals you'll see in the output anyway. Okay, so this is just when you want to do a bit more advanced stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Fine with that? You can just close that. Okay, let me share again. Okay, is the screen back?
Yeah.
Okay, then options, you just leave options as it is. Okay, so now we can say, okay. You can just share the screen again. Can you see my output screen?
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing that you'll get here is your averages for your descriptives of the 4 variables, and then you get your correlation matrix. So you can start here because we want to see what's the influence of egoistic mean, benevolent mean, and principal mean on organizational trust. So when we consider the correlation, that just gives us the relationship one by one. That's just a starting point. Okay, the correlation coefficient is this measures here. It's between -1 and +1. If it's towards 1, it's a strong positive relationship. Towards -1, a strong negative relationship. Okay, so if you look at this 0.17, it's sort of weak. It's near 0. So there's a weak relationship between egoistic mean and organizational trust if you just look at it on its own. Then benevolent mean is higher. It's 0.4. It's quite higher. And principled mean 0.36. So it seems from this correlation matrix that benevolent mean is the most important predictor, but you cannot say that because they didn't compete with each other like in with a regression. That's the proper way. So this is just to do exploratory analysis to check one by one what's going on. Okay, you're fine with that? To see the significance of this, you look at this SIG here, one-tailed significance. This value is here, so that's the p-value. So the p-value for that correlation there is 0.06. It's above 0.05, so it's not significant, that correlation. This correlation here, the 0.4, is significant. The p-value is smaller than 0.05. So what we can say from this is that benevolent mean and principled mean is significantly correlated to organizational trust, and that's a positive and say medium sort of relationship strength. Egoistic mean is not related. Okay, but now we want to do the regression because the 3 must compete with each other because there's relationships between these variables here. Okay, so we go to the regression. The first thing we check would be the ANOVA table. We look at this F-test here. The F-test gives us, is this model fitting significantly? So is this 3 variables significantly influencing the organizational trust together as a set? Okay. For that, we look at this significance here. The p-value, it's 0.001, so it's lower than 0.05, so we can say that this model significantly fitted. So this three variables together influences organizational trust. But now we want to go further. We want to see, but which of these variables is influencing, not the whole set, which one is influencing organizational trust. So we look at the egoistic mean, we look at t-tests now. So the t-test gives us which independent variable is significantly related to the organizational trust, okay? So in this case, egoistic mean, the t-test, the p-value of that t-test is 0.438. So it's way above 0.05. So it's not significantly related to organizational trust. Okay. You can also look at the standard. Okay, no, I'll go to that later. Benevolent mean, the p-value is 0.023. So it's significantly related to organizational trust. Principled mean, 0.14, not significantly related to organizational trust. So you see, this is a bit different from the correlations. Okay, so in this case, we'll report that only benevolent mean has a significant influence on organizational trust. Fine with that?
Yep.
Okay, then if you want to look at the influence, we look at the standardized beta coefficients. So in this case, because then we can compare the coefficients with each other. So you can see the egoistic mean is minus 0.09. So you can see it's a low correlation, but it's negatively related. It's not significant anyway. Then benevolent mean is 0.325. So that's quite far from zero. So there's a positive influence, which is significant. And then principled mean 0.2, not significant, 0.14. Fine with that? Then we must check the assumptions. The collinearity diagnostics, okay, because we don't want to have relationships between these variables, because then we will not be able to see which of them is related to organizational trust. That's the collinearity. We don't want to have correlations between these variables. That's strong. You look at the variance inflation factor. This is, okay, there's different ways to look at it. They say 10 is a cutoff, but 5 is probably a better cutoff. Variance inflation factor. So if it's 5 or more, it shows collinearity, which is a problem. In this case, it's all below 5, so it's sort of okay. Okay. There's more advanced ways to look at collinearity like this here, but I won't go into that now. Okay, so it seems like the collinearity is not a problem. Then we look at the residuals. The residuals must be normally distributed. The residuals is the part of the model that's left, the error, after you've done the modeling. That's the residuals. Okay? You fine with that?
Yeah.
So you have your model that you fit to reality, and then there's something left that's not fitted, the error. You want that to be as small as possible. That's the residuals, and that's what the method is actually doing. But the assumptions of regression tells us that this residuals must be normally distributed. Okay, so you look at this distribution here, the histogram of the standardized residuals. You see it's a bit off to the side here. So it's not perfectly normally distributed. Okay. It could be a problem, maybe not a huge problem. It could be. Okay. Then we go to the scatter plot of the residuals. That's a very important plot to check. Okay, this here mustn't give us a pattern. If there's a pattern in here, it shows us that not everything is modeled that we need to model. Now in this case, there's something a bit off here, and there we want to have a straight band like that. But it's not horrible. Okay. If it showed a pattern like this, can you see that? like that, a non-linear pattern or a straight line, then we would have known there was a problem in our model. In this case, it seems fine. Then if you want to investigate outliers, you see that one there could be an outlier. And you can go and investigate that. Okay? Fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then one last thing that you must also do when you do your regression, you want to explore. I'll do the interaction just now. You want to explore your graphs. So the graphs that goes together with this is we go to graphs, we go to legacy dialogues, and we go to scatter plot. Okay, let me just share the scatter. Can you see the scatter plot?
Yeah.
You just choose matrix scatter. Click on define. Let me just share again. Okay, now just share again. Can you see the scatter plot matrix window?
Yeah.
Okay, here you put in all the variables that you want to look at. So first we put in organizational trust, which is the dependent variable, and then we put the other three independents in. Okay, we start with the dependent. Click on OK. Let me just share again. Okay, can you see the scatter plot?
Yeah.
There's organizational trust. So we'll look at that one, this one here, which is the Y variable, and the X is this one. So we look at these three plots here. So we want to see some sort of linear relationship there. It's sort of something. You can see this one is more linear, the benevolent one that made sense also. If you pick up something non-linear here, then you must do some transformation or something. Okay. So this is just to investigate your relationship before, one by one. What you can also do is do it one by one. That shows it better. Let me just show you that. Then you can see better. So we go to graphs, legacy dialogues, and you choose simple scatter. Let me just share that again. Okay, simple scatter plot. The Y is the organizational trust, the dependent variable, and the X is the, sorry, let me just share that again. Can you see that, Pasika?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Okay, Y is the organizational trust, X is the first one, benevolent, and we click on OK, and I just share the output screen. Okay, this one is a bit better to look at. So you see there's some sort of a linear trend here. So I would advise to check your scatter plots one by one, each independent variable against the dependent variable. Now, there's something else that must be done here is the moderation. Let me just show that quickly, and then we can stop. Is there any questions? Let me just check chat. Paseka, computing variable is creating a construct. Okay, you're fine with that. Computing variable is creating a construct. Is there any questions at this stage? You all fine? Yeah, so Irisha is asking if only benevolent climate is related to organizational trust. Yes. That's statistically. The other ones is also related, but not strong enough. So statistically, benevolent climate is related to OT. Okay. You're fine with that? Let me just go to the window. Let me just go to the output. Sorry. here. Let me just move this. Okay. So egoistic mean, not significant here. The p-value lower than 0.05 and the coefficient near 0, but it's negative. Benevolent mean, significant. The coefficient is positive and 0.32 is not high but medium. And then principled mean 0.2 is not significant. Okay. You fine with that? Paseka, can you get me?
Yep, I can.
Okay. Now I just want to show you one last thing before I must go, is we want to look at moderation. So if you want to see that there's another variable moderating the effect of the independent variables, you can use interactions to test that. Okay. Let me just let me just go to, yeah, okay, all the demographic variables. That's quite advanced. Let me just share this to you. Can you see this? The objectives, can you see that, Seka?
Yeah.
Okay. To examine how demographic variables moderates the influence of the relationship between ethical climate and organizational trust. Okay. This is quite advanced. What you can do is, one way to keep it very simple would be just looking at the demographic variables influence on organizational trust, then just do ANOVAs. Check the differences between the categories. In this case, we want to bring this into the model, that regression model that was done already. Okay? And we must calculate dummy variables for that. Let me just see if I can get another variable just to show you what will happen. Let me just go to SPSS. But that will take quite a time to do that, but I'll just show you in general what will happen. What you do is you go to transform compute variable. Let me just share that to you. Can you see that?
Yeah.
In the target variable, you put in the interaction. So say for instance, okay, we must calculate dummy variables also, so that will make it difficult. Let me just use some dummy thing just to show you what will happen. Say we want to see organizational trust is influenced by egoistic, mean, benevolent, and principled, but we want to see the moderation of, this is not true or will not work, it's just for the example of ethical score. Say ethical score was something totally different. So we want to see if ethical score is, this is not logical here, but just use the example. So we want to see if ethical score is moderating egoistic mean on organizational trust. That's what we want to see. So we want to take the interaction term, the interaction between ethical score and egoistic mean. So we create a new variable that is the interaction between ethical score and egoistic mean. So I just call this interaction. This is when it's continuous variables, not categorical like the bigraphical ones. And then in the numeric expression, I say egoistic mean and I multiply it by ethical score. So this here, this interaction here is the interaction, I just call it interaction egoistic. So this here is the interaction between egoistic mean and ethical score. And this will give us the moderation of this ethical score on the egoistic mean by influencing organizational trust. Is it moderated by ethical score, this egoistic mean? Then I click on OK. Let me just go to the data set again. Let me just share. Can you see the output screen?
Yep.
Can you see the output screen? Okay, this is not for all of you. Let me just type quickly into Word. That will make more sense if I type it in Word quickly. So in your model, can you see the Word document?
Yep.
Organizational trust is your dependent variable. And then you want to test this egoistic, benevolent, and you want to test principled. Okay. This is the variables, that's your independent variables influencing organizational trust. Now you want to bring in, see if this ethical, that's not true, but say this, I used ethical. Say some variable, and this could be your biographicals. This variable, you want to see if this variable here is moderating this one and this one and this one. So what we looked at is if ethical trust is moderating benevolent, which one? Egoistic. So if you want to see if this variable is moderating that one, we put in the variable itself and then we put in the interaction. And the interaction is actually this one multiplied by this one here. Okay. And this here, if this is significant, it will show you, but then that is moderated by this. Okay, no, this is a bit advanced. You fine with that, Paseka?
Yep.
Okay, so that's how you treat moderation. So you use the interaction of the moderating variable with the other variables to check the interaction. Check the moderation. Let me just do it in SPSS quickly. With the biographical data, it's a bit difficult because we must create dummy variables and all of that, and I cannot do that now. But let me just show this example on categorical variable. Okay, let me just share the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so you go to analyze, we go to regression, linear. Let me just share the new screen. Can you see the screen? That's what we did already. We want to bring in this interaction I calculated just now and ethical score. I know this is totally wrong because ethical score is this. Okay, so that will give us problems, but just to show you. Okay, you're fine with that?
Yep.
You must bring in this ethical is the moderating variable. You must bring that in together with the interaction of that variable. In this case, we just check the moderation on egoistic. So you must make interactions for benevolent and principled also. And then I click on OK. Okay, it will just crash because it's not. Let me just see what the output gives us. Because this is not correct, but I just want to show you the process. Okay, can you see the output screen?
Yep.
You see the ethical score here? There's the ethical score, but it actually consists of that. There's the interaction. So that p-value there will give you the moderating effect of ethical score on egoistic mean. Fine with that? That interaction there. So that's how you treat moderation with the interaction. But with the biographicals, you must do it more. You must do dummies. Irisha, it's only benevolent climate. Yes, it's only benevolent climate. That's the only one that is significant from the T tests. So it's only benevolent. So
please share the screen, Henny.
Sorry?
Please share the screen. We can't see the
Oh,
screen.
sorry. Let me just, thanks. This thing is throwing away the screen all the time. Okay, can you see now?
Yes.
Okay, look at that.
Thank you.
Okay. If you look at egoistic mean, sorry, there's the interaction that I calculated. The interaction between egoistic mean and ethical score. So that is the interaction term. So this significance, this p-value there will tell us if there's a moderating effect of this ethical score on that. Okay. You fine with that? That interaction term there. So when you want to see the interaction or the moderation of this ethical score on principled mean, you need to have an interaction between principled mean and ethical score. So you will actually have 3 interactions here. One with egoistic mean, one with principled mean, and then what was the other one? One was left out. Okay. You fine with that?
Yep.
Okay, Irisha, you fine? What will happen in your case let me just go back to the Word document quickly. In this case here, for the demographic variables, dummy variables must be created because you cannot use a categorical variable in a regression. Okay. Before, you must calculate the dummy variables. So say, for instance, if it's gender, that's easy. It's only one dummy variable because there's 2 categories. But if there's, say, age, there's 4 categories, you'll have 3 different dummy variables. And after you've created the dummy variables with the zeros and ones, then you can go that route. And this question 4 here, we don't look at the Pearson. That's just the, what do you call it, exploratory. We look at the t-tests of the regression, and you look at the standardized coefficient of the regression. And in that case, it was only benevolent that was significant, and the standardized coefficient was the highest, which was 0.32. Okay, you fine with that? I have another meeting at 9:30. Is there any questions? You can just type in the chat box or try to say something. No questions. Can you hear me, Paseka?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, if there's no questions, then yeah, I'll just post you the link again, then you can go and look at this session. You all fine?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. You must enjoy your weekend, all of you. I'll post the link or send it again.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, it's a pleasure. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, bye.
Okay. Okay, bye.